We are live. It is Dynasty Week, and I don't have my contrarian shades. Oh, no.
I forgot to tell you to get them ready beforehand, but it's Dynasty Week, ladies and gentlemen. We are here.
Hold on. Matt, you introduce the show. I got to go get my contrarian shades. Hold on. I'll be right back.
All right. So tonight on the Writers Roundtable podcast, we have PPR Tyler Knaeble here in the house tonight. We are going to talk about how you can unlock Dynasty Dominance. So first of all, we're going to talk some stock up, stock down. We're going to talk about some players that you're going to be wanting to get on your teams now and move from your teams now, because in 2 to 3 months from now, it's going to be too late. We're going to answer your trade questions live. We have a special announcement of a certain Dynasty startup league, so stay tuned for that. And then we have Dynasty Cornerstones, players that are going to be winning you leagues for 10 years or more. And then we're going to do a little this or that, some Dynasty startup on the clock decisions. Seth, take us away.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that special announcement. It involves a Dynasty League that we are starting here on the Writers Roundtable. And we should figure out something before we even start. We should figure out something with these shades that Matt Babich has on. If you're on the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, it is the shades, like the inserts that you get from the optometrist when you go to get your eyes dilated, is what it is. And these are his shades that he wore on the first show ever, I think. Was it the first show or the second show?
Believe it was.
Something like that. And he's wearing them again tonight, and we call these the contrarian shades, and we got to do something. I don't know if someday we're big shots and we have some merch that could be, like a Patreon thing. Maybe someday we'll see if we get a bit in, there's just ideas percolating as we are on the show right now. But anyway, contrarian shades, it's a thing. All right. So getting into the show, Tyler, I'm going to start with you because you're our guest. So I
didn't get the memo about the shades.
I didn't tell anybody. I did a bad job as a co-host.
Matt Babich is really fucking up here. It's okay. It's okay. I had to run and get mine. So I had to sprint over to the counter where I keep the shades, where we walk into the house. So it's okay. It's all right. We should have. This is our bad. That's our bad, Tyler. We should have informed you. We dropped the ball. So
we go really a step further. We a lot of guests, or a lot of hosts on Player Profile, we like to alienate the audience, but we go a step further, and we prefer to alienate our guests as well. Make everyone feel as uncomfortable as they possibly can.
That's fair, honestly. Yeah. I kind of like it. It's a hazing process, Yeah. Like, hazing's frowned upon at some institutions, but not here. Not at Player Profiler.
Yeah, it's alive and well here, for better or for worse. Okay. So we have these stock up, stock down players. Which players, in stocks, everybody knows, like, it's better to be early than late. In Dynasty, we're constantly evaluating value. So, Tyler, what's one player whose stock is going to be a lot higher this time next year?
I think my smash pick right now is Elijah Moore. It feels like it's got to be him, just because he escaped the Zach Wilson prison that he was locked in for 2 years. And it's kind of like the Garrett Wilson argument, where the splits with and without Wilson they're night and day. So Elijah Moore just feels like one of those guys with playing with Deshaun Watson. He feels like he could really be just the number 2 on that offense, and it's supposed to be a good offense. Like, I don't see how Elijah Moore how his stock doesn't go up this time next season.
Yeah, I've been in on Elijah Moore since he was a rookie, and it's a really tough road when he went through the ebbs and flows through the New York Jets offense with Zach Wilson and getting benched and all these different things. And we're really hoping for a fresh start here. And we see that David Bell's potentially on the chopping block in Cleveland, and there's a lot of hype coming out for Elijah Moore right now. So it's hard to imagine, with what we're seeing and what we already knew about Elijah Moore, how he doesn't increase in value year over year. I talked about this player as a buy multiple months ago, and then I was vindicated as his stock immediately went up. And then I check, and apparently the masses are somehow lower on Michael Pittman than they were a few months ago. And I don't understand how this is happening because, I mean, we talk about the perfect alpha build. You know, he's 6'4", 223. He's got a 90th percentile or 94th percentile speed score, 90th percentile catch radius. And we already know he's a target hog, 25% target share over the past 2 seasons. We already know he's dominant as a route runner, 50% route run. Jesus, every time I say that,
I know. Say it.
I'm
10 times fast. Route win rate. Win rate. You can't do it. You can't do it. And I challenge anybody out there to say it 10 times fast. You can't do it.
Can't do it. 50% win rate in the last 2 seasons. He's dominating corners left and right. He just hasn't had a quarterback over the last few seasons, and he's still been, you know, a top 24 producer over the last 2 seasons. So that's pretty impressive, all things considered. In his 4th year in the league, he's now paired up with, you know, what could be a dynamic prospect in Anthony Richardson. And whatever you think of him as a passer, what we can guarantee is that A-Rich is going to be locked in to Michael Pittman this season. And if he is as good or better as Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers or Sam Ehlinger, then Michael Pittman's probably going to be fine. So this offense we expect to take a step forward. I don't see how Michael Pittman isn't a top 14 receiver in the next 3 months, let alone the next year.
Well, I love both of those picks. First, I want to touch on Elijah Moore. Do you guys know that Elijah Moore is 23 years old? You know, you guys know that.
Pretty young.
He's 23.
Yeah, he's my age.
Now,
I'd cook him.
He do you know, like, he's with this quarterback now that whatever you think of him, he has top 5 upside fantasy wise at quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Doesn't this just make too much sense? I mean, he's being drafted. This isn't a redraft show, but he's being drafted outside the top 100 redraft picks. I mean, this is like the chance you should take, right, on Elijah Moore. And I also like Michael Pittman too, who's young. He's 25 years old, not quite to the age apex. Gets a massive quarterback upgrade. We thought he was getting a solid quarterback last year. Didn't turn out to be the case in Matt Ryan. But now with Anthony Richardson, you know, the likely going to go through his ups and downs, but it can't be worse than it was last year, right? It can't be worse. And now, Michael Pittman, you're getting the discount. This is the dynasty game that you have to play. You have to seek out the value where you can find the value. And I see some real value. And I wrote down like 100 players in our show sheet, but I see some real value right now in Kyle Pitts. Okay. Kyle Pitts is one of 2 tight ends to go for over 1,000 yards receiving in their rookie season. I know he's in a bad offense right now. I know everybody's got a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to Kyle Pitts, but I'm seeing him go sometimes in a super flex tight end premium startup. Seeing him slip to the 4th round. He slipped to the 4th round in the mock draft that Tyler and I did on Monday. Sometimes he goes in the 5th round, and in redraft, he's going even later. He's going way later than Drake London, which doesn't make any sense to me because I think he's going to emerge as the top receiving option in Atlanta because Atlanta's going to pass more. It's almost virtually impossible. It's kind of like Chicago. It's almost virtually impossible for those 2 teams not to pass more. And you saw when Ritter came in, they were cranking up the passing volume a little bit. So I think he's too good. He's almost too big to fail, in my opinion, if Ritter is even worth a darn. And if he's not, guess what? They're probably drafting in the top 5 or 10, and they're probably in the Caleb Williams. What's the guy from North Carolina?
Drake
They're probably in the sweepstakes for one of those players, or you know, if the Vikings move on from Kirk Cousins or something like that, they're going to be in the market for another quarterback like next year if Desmond Ritter's no good. So the mad scientist, speaking of Michael Pittman, so we are in this dynasty startup right now, and it's the craziest startup I think I've ever been in because it's 2 hours per pick. I don't know why we went that direction, but I will say I do like the pick of Michael Pittman. I set my queue FF Mad Scientist, but I think I've made one pick in this dynasty startup. I think my Q has made all the other picks for me, and Michael Pittman was a Q pick. So I like it. But this dynasty league, when you work for Player Profiler, I don't have time to be checking this every couple out. And it's like, oh, like I keep going to it and it keeps saying like I'm on auto pick. So whatever. It is what it is. But anyway, I
think
thought I'd answer that
I
question.
think it was made for 2 hours because we were going to try and finish it up by the end of the week for Dynasty Week. But I think we're in like the 8th round, and there's 25 rounds, and it's Wednesday already. So I don't know what the likelihood of that happening is.
Yeah, I don't think we're making it, but it's okay. It's literally the craziest thing ever, because I'm used to going to a league and I can sit down, I can but it's like the mock draft live we did on Monday, Tyler. It feels like there's 30 seconds per pick because I keep missing all my picks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so same question to you, Matt. We'll go the other way around. Stock down. Who's your stock down player?
Looking at, I use keep trade cut to kind of get a glimpse maybe or a guess as to what the masses are thinking. I know I can't necessarily look at Player Profiler rankings and think, this is exactly what everyone in my leagues are going to think, because they're generally a little bit more forward thinking. But I look and see that Derrick Henry is RB 18, and I can't help but think that in about 6 months to a year, there's no chance he's inside the top 20, and he's going to be closer to outside of the top 24. This guy's nearly 30 years old. 30 years old. And he's been getting 300 carries a game or something like that for the past 5 seasons. What's the meme from Jesse from Breaking Bad? He can't keep getting away with this. It's not gonna, he's not LeBron James, this is not gonna, this can't keep happening. Right. And we're getting talks of trades or cut from the Tennessee Titans as a cap casualty as this team kind of looks to restart. So as soon as he's let go from Tennessee, all the certainty goes away. And then he's in a very ambiguous situation. The first time he's been in one in a very long time. And you look at the running backs below him. You have Zach Charbonnet, who is in a sticky situation, but he's a young back who's a talented pass catcher. You have Alexander Madison, who, say what you will, but currently he is the only back of consequence right now. Ty Chandler hasn't done anything in the NFL. Neither has anybody else in the Vikings roster besides Alexander Madison. Miles Sanders at RB21, Swift at RB22, Kendre Miller at RB23, Rashad White at RB24, Cam Akers at RB27. There is a lot of younger guys who have some interesting situations going on right now that you could very well argue you'd want over Derrick Henry in Dynasty right now. So RB18 does not make a lot of sense to me. And, by next offseason, he'll be outside of the top 24.
Tyler, who's your stock down player?
This was, I think, the easiest one for me. It's got to be Travis Etienne. I think he's currently keep trade cut's RB7 right now, and he just had he had an okay season last year. Even when they trade James Robinson, he kind of became the guy. He was good, but he wasn't RB7 good. It felt like. I mean, they draft Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round, I believe, and it seems like Tank Bigsby is getting a lot of smoke, and Doug Peterson is just notorious for using a bunch of running backs by committee. It seems like that's the way he wants to do it. So I don't think Travis Etienne is going to get all these carries and targets that everybody thinks he is. Even when he was alone last year, he still finished, I think, outside the top 10 in running back targets. So it just feels like his value is at an all-time high right now. And he's one guy I actually did sell in a dynasty league because I just don't think he's going to have this career that everybody thinks he is. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's not, but RB7 just seems a little too rich for me.
Yeah. It's very strange to me just looking at keep trade cut. I I don't know. Saquon is RB6. I think that's a little crazy to me. Ranked just ahead of Travis Etienne, just 3 spots. I would much, much, much prefer Saquon Barkley. I think most people would, but so that's interesting. But I think that tier of running back, and I just, not to push back a little bit, but I don't mind Travis Etienne there, but keep Trey Cut. Just it really doesn't make sense because this tier of running back, I just want to get your thoughts on this real quick. Travis Etienne at RB7, Josh Jacobs at RB8, Rhamondre Stevenson at RB9, Kenneth Walker at RB10, and then Tony Pollard is RB11. I know Tony Pollard's 26 years old and Travis Etienne is significantly younger, but is he? He's 24. I guess he's got a couple years. I don't know, man. Like if you're making me choose, Matt, you're muted. If you're making me choose, I'm taking Tony Pollard at that value over Etienne. So maybe I don't like Etienne as much as I thought I did.
In terms of foot years, Etienne's like 35, and that's physical therapist certified.
But what about the shower narrative? Have you considered the shower narrative, Tyler?
What's that?
Oh, he plays with Trevor Lawrence, so they showered together in college.
Oh, okay, got it.
So they won national championship, I think, once upon a time.
Yeah.
So
I may have seen that.
Yeah, but anyway, so I think that's a little crazy to me. But we have some chat. I'll get to mine in a second. So what do you guys think of this? Roschon, a top 10 dynasty RB next year. He gets drafted over Gibbs. Ooh, that's my kind of take right there. I like that.
Take.
It's just going to be tough. I mean, he'd have to have an incredible first season to get vaulted that high. We look what he'd have to have. You know, Dameon Pierce got up to what, RB 16, 17 this offseason. So given a similar draft capital, he'd have to pretty significantly outperform Dameon Pierce to get himself into that range. So that's a fairly hot take, but I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, I think Khalil Herbert would have to get hurt for that to happen, and or like some sort of formation of that. And then I think the Bears have to be like a top 5 scoring offense this year.
Yeah, I'm the biggest Roschon fan in the world, and I'm even saying, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit. Top 10 dynasty RB. I'm here for it. I think it could happen with that offense. I think there's room in that offense for more upside passing than people might think, but that's just me and perhaps me being Bears homer.
I was ridiculed on Mock Draft Live for taking Roschon Johnson over Zach Charbonnet pre-draft by both you and Jack Kavanaugh. So I do not
wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't remember. I don't remember this.
You didn't necessarily talk the shit, but you endorsed it and sat idly by as it was spoken.
Well, was that pre-landing spot?
Because that's how much I believed in the talent.
Okay.
Yeah, now he's on the Bears. He doesn't care.
Dude,
now Roschon's a top 3 running back.
Yeah, Roschon to the moon. I took Roschon in a single QB on Mock Draft Live with Aaron Stewart at number 6 overall. I can't remember if I took him ahead of Zach Charbonnet or not, but that I think is the episode of Mock Draft Live that got the most dislikes, and I'm pretty sure it was because of that pick. Okay.
And that was post.
No, that was pre. That was like one of the first. This is before many people knew who Roschon Johnson even was, probably. So I took him at pick 6, and the whole world just exploded. And anyway, I'd have to go back and look, but usually our like rate is around 90%. It's pretty high, and that like rate was in the 70s, just to give perspective. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that pick was the reason why.
You were like the trailer for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, just all dislikes.
Hey, engagement is engagement.
It's true.
Yeah. Speaking of engagement, Ertz is going to outscore Pitts this year, but he's coming off of an ACL and he's old.
So he's got Colt McCoy as his quarterback.
Yeah. How's that going to...
Who's to say Ertz even plays this year?
That's what I'm saying. There's a real case that you can make that Trey McBride's their starting tight end. Right? Sorry, Fantasy Plumber. I mean, you can come over and change the pipes, but I don't know if I want you changing my fantasy team around. I do like the Roschon take, though. All right, I have to quit stalling, and now I have to talk about something that hurts my soul a little bit. I was going to come on strong with this. I was going to say, screw this player. But I do like this player. I just don't like his value, which is kind of what Dynasty is all about. And so I'm here to tell you that Garrett Wilson is overrated. I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the masses, right? And this isn't player profiler rankings. We go to Keep Trade Cut because this is what the masses are thinking, right? This is a free service, right? And I am looking at Keep Trade Cut right now, and I am seeing Garrett Wilson as the wide receiver 3. He's ranked ahead of CeeDee Lamb. He's ranked ahead of A.J. Brown. He's ranked ahead of Jaylen Waddle. He's ranked ahead of Chris Olave, Amon St. Brown. I could go on and on down the list. This is wild for a wide receiver who did get 143 targets last year, finished as the wide receiver 21, and he's 22 years old, going to be 23. But I don't think you can really argue with me about, is Aaron Rodgers going to be good at 39 years old? He might be okay, but he's a clear upgrade from what they had last year. That's for sure. But even if he's mediocre, does that vault him ahead of CeeDee Lamb? I don't think so. Does that vault him ahead of Chris Olave? I mean, if you're telling me I can trade Garrett Wilson for Chris Olave plus something extra on top of that, give me the Chris Olave side of that trade all day, because I don't see a huge difference between those two players. Am I crazy?
I don't think so at all. I don't think you can say right now that Garrett Wilson is wide receiver 3. So,
yeah,
I don't think he should be wide receiver 3, but wide receiver, like, I do think he's firmly above Chris Olave, just because if you look at the splits with and without Zach Wilson, we kind of mentioned with Elijah Moore, where it's Zach Wilson prison and he's holding these receivers like hostage, like they're in the gulag trying to fight their way out, and both of them seemingly have done so. So that's great. But the splits with and without Garrett Wilson, with Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson played 9 games. He averaged 6 targets, 3 catches, 49 yards, 0 touchdown. He was the wide receiver 61 on average. And then without Zach Wilson, with Flacco and Mike White, he had 6 games and then averaged 10 targets, 6 catches, 91 yards, had 4 touchdowns, and was the wide receiver 7. And then I think we both agree that Aaron Rodgers is a lot better than Flacco and Mike White. So I don't know. You don't think so?
Stop.
No,
you're not doing this. No.
I mean, he finished number 26 in QBR last year.
He was an MVP 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 years ago.
But
he should have never been MVP. That should have been Tom Brady.
Is Seth Diewold. My new stock down is Seth Diewold.
Yeah, I just don't understand why everyone just bows at the altar of Aaron Rodgers all the time. I don't understand. He's done absolutely nothing, like in the playoffs. You know, like, yeah, he had Devontae Adams for all those years, but then you take Devontae Adams away, and it's like it's everybody else's fault but Aaron Rodgers. I don't understand.
I love being dramatic, all right? But this is where I draw the line. In no way were we bowing down to this man. We are just saying that there is a distinct difference between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers at this point in the career. And I see that smile on your face. You know what you did, and you did it on purpose, but it triggered me anyway. You got the reaction you were looking for, so congrats.
Oh, I'm just loving the chat right now. So let's see. Harry Snowman just came in time. So he's sighing at me.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is better than Zach Wilson?
I just said he was. I mean, I just said he was an upgrade to Zach Wilson. So I don't. Yeah, that's going to be the quote on the writers'
but not
round
Joe
table.
Flacco.
It's going to be Aaron Rodgers is not better than Mike White or Joe Flacco. Like, I've already put it in my head. It's what's going to.
Yeah, and he brought in all his homeboys too, so they're target competition for Garrett Wilson. And so so the fantasy plumber says this, right? And see, Theo just professed his sky high love for Wilson this afternoon, and he's crying with laughter because he's laughing at all of us schmucks over here who contradict each other. I'm not saying Garrett Wilson is a bad player, okay? I'm saying his current value is crazy on Keep Trade Cut. Not here at Player Profiler, where we're rational about said things, except for maybe Aaron Rodgers. But Theo, clearly, and I are we probably differ slightly on this. If Theo looked at Keep Trade Cut right now, I don't think Theo's taking CeeDee Lamb over Garrett Wilson. That's all I'm saying. So anyway.
Can we play the game real quick then? Would you let me just name out some players and we'll see who you'd take Garrett Wilson over, or who would you take over Garrett Wilson?
Okay.
Chris Olave.
I think that's close. I think I'd lean Olave just because I think the quarterback is a little bit more certain there.
All right. Jaylen Waddle.
Jaylen Waddle. Give me Jaylen Waddle.
We'll do one more. Devonta Smith.
See, that's where I probably go Garrett Wilson.
All right. So it looks like you have him in this like wide receiver 9 range, because the one above him was Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I didn't think you would say. I think you'd rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown over Garrett Wilson too. Is that hot takey?
That's not as bad as the Aaron Rodgers one. I feel like that's a fair take. That one will make Twitter.
Yeah. No, it's getting there. It's getting there, boys. All right. Where are we at? Where are we at in the show sheet, Matt?
All right. So audience, get your trade questions in if you haven't already. I teased that we were gonna do some trade discussions during the show. So send in your trades, be specific with the league settings. We are going to assume PPR Superflex, non-tight end premium, unless told otherwise. But please specify.
All right. So I think we can get.
Seth has something about his own league that I'd prefer not to talk about, but if there's no questions in the chat yet, we can just talk about that real quick as they pile up.
Yeah. Let's talk about my trade. All right. Let's talk about my boring trade that Matt Babich doesn't care about. All right. So I probably should have screenshotted this, but it was all convoluted. This is a big deal. All right. So you guys ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm looking at it too.
So am I.
All right. So side A for the audience is Derek Carr, Kyle Pitts, Rashad Bateman, and Breece Hall. So this is a big boy trade here. Oh, and I should specify Superflex tight end premium PPR start 11. All right. Side B, Kenneth Walker, Quentin Johnston. Now these were picks that turned into this. Not that it really matters. Kenneth Walker, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Sam Laporta, Darnell Washington, a 2024 first and a 2024 third. Which side do you guys like?
Was Cody a part of this trade by any chance?
No, Cody Carpentier was not a part of this trade. This is
he said side B before like the trade even went along. So I was assuming it was with Cody, but
B.
I'm taking. Yeah, give me. Is
it close? Is it close?
It's close for me.
It's close for me as well.
The Derek Carr part is throwing me off here because it's obviously a quarterback, and there's not necessarily a quarterback on the side B of this trade. So I'm looking at it, and I was just kind of trying to look at it like Kyle Pitts and Breece Hall pretty much for the haul of Kenneth Walker, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, and the 2024 first are kind of like the big pieces that stand out to me. But then Derek Carr is throwing it off. I would say I would just go side B just because I feel like you just have more options. Like if one of those guys hits like a little Laporta or the Darnell Washington or that 2024 first, I feel like the 2024 first could obviously be like a quarterback too. So I kind of like the side B just because you have a little bit more outs and some more guys to root for, especially if it's start 11. So
I think I'm going to go side. I'm going to go side B as well. Although I will say the potential to have Hall and Pitts dominating for, the next however many years is very tempting, but I'd go side B.
Wow. You want to know which side I'm on?
You got torched in the trade, didn't you? You're on side A.
Oh, I'm on side A, and I'm going to win a fantasy football championship. Quentin Johnston's a bust. Yeah, with the Zay Flowers in an offense, it's going to be running the ball a lot with Odell and Rashad Bateman. I mean, come on. Like,
did you trade for Rashad Bateman?
Oh, yeah. I got Rashad Bateman.
My guy out here getting cooked.
Rashad Bateman's going to Rashad Bateman's gonna outproduce Zay Flowers. Come on,
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Look, I mean,
So
I
got
flag planted Rashad
toasted.
Bateman, and I can't even get behind it.
I got everybody thinks I got toasted, but when I'm I'll spend all my money winning the championship, not thinking about everybody who disagrees with me in the chat. The tilt is on. That's right. Cody's in here, and then Theo, Garrett Wilson, or who is CD Lamb? Pick CD Lamb or Garrett Wilson. We'll find out. All right. I don't even know where we're at, Matt Babich. Help me out here. This is one of those episodes.
It's informative segment time.
Oh, it is informative segment time with the Podfather. So please sit back, relax. We have more Dynasty content for you after this brief segment from the Podfather.
People always ask me, hey, what is the World Series of fantasy or the Super Bowl of fantasy football? And it's easy. It's the FFPC, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. It's a $6 million prize pool. And they've had their Never Too Early Best Ball leagues cranking since February. So the FFPC is the answer to so many questions. Hey, where's the best place to get a Dynasty Orphan? Well, you can adopt a Dynasty Orphan at the FFPC. That's why we partner with them. If you want to play fantasy football for low, medium, high stakes, seasonal, best ball, dynasty, go to the FFPC. And don't forget, promo code Underworld to get you $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team, no matter what team it is, no matter what format it is, at the FFPC. Go do it.
All right. We need some trades in the chat. All right. We want to help you guys out.
Yeah,
with
let's
your
just
trades.
we'll let them accumulate. We'll come back to it probably before we wrap up.
Okay. So maybe I was wrong because Theo's he's mulling it over between CD Lamb and Garrett Wilson. Maybe we'll get an answer from the OG before we get off.
While we settle that, we have to cut you off there. While we settle that, we have a special announcement here live on the Writers Roundtable podcast. We are starting a Dynasty League. That's right, a Dynasty startup, and it's gonna be a 12-team league. We're gonna have 6 listeners, have a chance to earn some spots, and then you're gonna be battling it out against Seth, myself, and then 4 other of Roto Underworld Player Profiler's finest analysts. So it's going to be an amazing time. And to enter to get a spot into the league, you got to do 3 simple things. Got to which you probably already are, got to be subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube page. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, take a screenshot of it, send it over to our show's Twitter, _writers_pod. We will promote that more than once. You can also find it on Seth and myself's Twitter page. So you'll go to our Twitter page, you'll give that a follow, and you'll DM us the screenshot of you subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel, and you will enter yourself into the drawing, and more details will follow that. But for now, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go follow our Twitter, and DM us that screenshot. Enter yourself for a chance to win a spot in our league.
And the reason I got this guy up, I don't know if he sat on his keyboard or what the deal is. Maybe this is what he meant to do. This man right here, Cody Carpentier, is going to be in our Dynasty League. I confirmed that today. So you'd be playing not just with me, not just with Matt Babich, but with Cody Carpentier and some other Player Profiler people. So go do everything that Matt Babich just told you to do so you can be in a Dynasty League with us. Okie dokie. We're still waiting for trades. Come on, people, give us some trades. But while we're doing that, the next question is, the obvious goal in Dynasty leagues is to build a dynasty, right? Year after year, championship contender. Most teams that achieve this have at least one what we call Dynasty Cornerstone. So think about like DeAndre Hopkins in 2014, right? Or something like that. So, Tyler, who are some of your Dynasty Cornerstones? And this is going to be pretty awkward if you say Garrett Wilson or Aaron Rodgers.
I swear to you, the first name I have written on my list is Garrett Wilson.
He's on mine too.
Yeah. Oh, Wilson's a dynasty cornerstone.
Well, I mean, he's the dynasty cornerstone for the same stats that I listed out maybe 15 minutes ago. So I think with
right.
the Aaron Rodgers obvious upgrade that he's going to be what I mean this year. I think he's gonna I'm taking him pretty firmly right now where he's being drafted, at least an underdog. So I like him for especially this year. As long as he's with Aaron Rodgers, I truly think he's going to be just the newer kind of Devontae Adams. They're both both known for route running, except even Garrett Wilson just feels a little faster. He's younger. Not necessarily saying he's better than Devontae, but he might be right there, especially just give him a couple more years of experience under his belt. And I don't know. Everything feels like Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, they're just going to make magic happen together. And as far as when Aaron Rodgers is there, I'm just praying that the situation is better than Zach Wilson because we saw what he did with Mike White and Joe Flacco. So I'm all in on Garrett Wilson in Dynasty. I absolutely love him. So not wide receiver 3, but probably like wide receiver 5 for me or somewhere in that range.
It was a rough start for him for fantasy, but I really feel like, and Seth, you alluded to this with the Falcons kind of being bad and being in the hunt for a new quarterback, maybe Caleb Williams, maybe Drake May, maybe who knows. We know it's going to be someone better than Desmond Ridder. I think we're all pretty confident he's not the guy, even though he's going to get a year. Drake London could be the sneaky dynasty cornerstone. So we can say current top 10 receivers all you want, but if you want to get a little bit ahead of the game, why not take a shot on Drake London? I mean, he has the physical profile. He has the game-winning ability to go up and get every contested catch that's thrown his way. He's going to be a target hog. He already is. He's already targeted at an insane rate, just carrying the entire passing offense of Atlanta, even though, it was a bad passing offense. But as that improves, if he's still a guy who can command a 25+ target share year over year and it was a 32% target rate last year, but let's say, maybe he lives between 25 to 30 every single season. If he's that much of a target hog. And so what I put on the show sheet, I alluded to what DeAndre Hopkins was able to do. I mean, and he was a guy who was collecting a 25% target share and a 28 to 30% target rate for like 7 or 8 straight seasons. And if you can get someone with that consistent level of opportunity in an offense where he's still the guy, I know there's Kyle Pitts there, but in terms of receivers in the room, he's the guy. They're going to get a quarterback upgrade. They've shaped their offense such that they're trying to find that franchise quarterback to plug in and let the offense start flying. They have Bijan Robinson. They're putting together an offensive line. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. So you can get a top 15 to top 10 receiver for the next 7 or so years with Drake London, who's only 22 years old right now. And that's the kind of frame I'm looking for when I'm trying to find a dynasty cornerstone. Plus, when we're talking quarterback, literally any top 5 to 10 quarterback right now, just go grab them because they're all fairly young and could be in the top 5 to 10 every single year for the next 7 years. So they're all worth it right now.
Yeah, very well said. I'm gonna choose, and I like. I do like a lot of what you said. I'm gonna choose Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of these players. I mean, like I said before, getting drafted after Garrett Wilson, who, if you were paying attention in rookie drafts, I mean, I think he was going in the 3rd or 4th round of some rookie drafts out there, Superflex back in the day. 4th round pick who looks like a stud for a long time. Number 8 in targets last year, number 11 in target share, number 14 in total route wins, number 2 in route win rate. I said it right. So there's just a lot of efficiency metrics that I really like with Amon-Ra St. Brown in an offense that throws the ball. Jared Goff is not a mobile quarterback. He's going to be throwing. That means more opportunity for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's getting drafted after Garrett Wilson. So if I can, package Garrett Wilson and get Amon-Ra St. Brown and some extra back, I'm all for that. That's just my particular brand of tea. And we have a chat. The chat is going wild, so I apologize. If you miss I don't think I need to rant on Aaron Rodgers again. Do I? I mean, I don't like Derek Carr either, but if we're trusting that Aaron Rodgers is going to be good this year, I feel like that's a big if at 39 years old. And Derek Carr's a younger quarterback with a longer contract. That's what I was saying. Anyway, what do you have next? Oh, we have a trade. We have a trade in the chat. Not a big trade, but Harry Snowman. So side A, he received a 2024 second, 2024 fourth. Side B, Rashid Shaheed, and a 2024 third. So what do we think of that? That's not a huge deal, but it's something.
Yeah, give me the second round pick.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
The shot that you're getting at the second round pick, I feel like is just more valuable than any other thing in this trade.
I'm with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good deal. Let's see. We got Mr. Babich in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Deontay Johnson for Roschon Johnson straight up. He gets Roschon Johnson for his rebuild. Matt knows the league, so you must be in this league, Matt Babich.
I am in the league. It's a league. I got some guys together so we can get my dad in the league, and he's gotten so much better, man. And I know he's leaning towards making this trade, and I know that I believe in my heart that's the right decision. It is tough because I think Deontay Johnson's undervalued, but we think about if you can get a workhorse running back, like we talk about those 3-year windows. Is Deontay Johnson going to increase in value so much such that he's going to be a league winner? But Roschon Johnson as a lead back in Chicago can be a league winner with where you got to draft him at. So I'm going with Roschon Johnson just for the pure youth and upside and value at running back.
Yeah, I apologize if you guys fall under this category, but is there a bigger poster boy for the regression bros than Deontay Johnson this season? It just feels like he is like it's just targets. Targets is all that matter in fantasy football for when it comes to Deontay Johnson, because his efficiency is not good at all. If you look at how many targets, I think he was I forgot off the top of my head. I was looking at it the other day. He was 5th in targets and finished as the wide receiver 40 something in average points per game or 30 something in average points per game. It's kind of crazy.
He's not even good at catching the ball.
Yeah, he can't even catch the ball.
Yeah.
He we saw something from him once in his rookie year. Is that how long it's been now? But it's almost like it's weird because it's a very similar situation to Juju, where we just haven't seen it in a while. And then the excuses don't come for Juju, but everyone's going in troves to defend Deontay Johnson because he didn't have any touchdowns or something like that. And so I guess Miles Sanders just ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like he was just such a Big Ben propelled Deontay Johnson just to new heights, because it was just kind of the same thing with Najee Harris. Najee Harris finished with 2nd or 3rd in receptions among running backs his rookie year, and then it was just 3 yards and catches, but he had 7 a game. So it was he's this PPR monster, but you couldn't play him in a standard league. So
yeah, Deontay Johnson also can have a case of the drops. I think his drop, he's number 2 in the NFL in drops last year, 6.1% rate. So I know that can be a frustrating part of his game too. And if you look at his efficiency metrics, I mean, I guess total route wins is good. Number 11, route win rate, one of my favorites to say and to quote. Number 33, so not terrible, but yeah, I think I agree with most of what you said. He was number 6 in targets and number 13 in target share, and that feels like that's going to come back down to reality. I think we're all kind of in the same spot there. So there's another question here under. Let's see, is it worth it to go all in on guys like Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, considering that their dominance could continue for another? So is it worth it? We've talked about this before. When you're sitting in a dynasty startup, getting a couple picks in that top 5 to secure a Herbert and a Burrow or an Allen and a Mahomes or something like that. To me, if you can make that happen, I'm about ready to give up just about anything I have to give up to make it happen. What do you think about that, Tyler?
Yeah, I think in a startup, I like the idea better than after the league is kind of like already started, and then because it feels like you have to trade a lot more in like when the startup's already over, then you would have to actually trade in like a startup draft because you're just trading kind of draft picks. You can still kind of build a team the way you want it, but if you're trading like really good young pieces to get a Hurts or a Mahomes, then it just feels disgusting to do because you're like, oh, I'm trading Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, top 5 players at their position. And it's just one of those things where I'd rather do it in a startup. But yeah, if you could do it in a startup, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks of the era that just kind of faded out and retired, even though, I mean, Rodgers is the last of them, it seems. But when you look at guys like Brady, Manning, Breeze, even Rivers, he wasn't a top 10 guy very often, but if you can get someone who's that consistent, and especially super flex with the way this all works, if you're getting someone like Burrow or Herbert or a more of a rushing quarterback like Hurts, the positional advantage that you can get is just, it's gnarly, man. Like you can have a team that otherwise outside of that one position at quarterback is dog water, but you can be in the middle of the pack, if not like a upper end playoff team, if you have depth and if you have that one quarterback that's giving you like 40 points a game. So it's pivotal in super flex leagues to have a competent quarterback room. And if you can have an elite one, it gives you so much more room for error because you have that staple that's keeping you in games every single week.
Yes, sir. I'm right in lockstep with you. I would, I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm already lucky enough to get in the top 5, that's when I become really aggressive to try to get up there and get another. I mean, even if I have like the 108 or 109 and I end up with somebody like Lamar Jackson, if I'm lucky enough that he falls that far, and then I would honestly trade my second, third, plus maybe I don't know, 5th or 6th. Like I would trade a lot to make that happen for my team because, like you said, those are the most stable assets you can get, like a Burrow, a Herbert. We know their value is not going to go down, or at least it's very unlikely that their value is going to go down in a super flex league format like that. So anyway, I'm right there in lockstep with you. We do have one from the Fantasy Plumber. He sent out Etienne 2024 second for Cup and a 2024 first a bit ago. So what do you guys think about that one?
Tyler?
I think I know which way Tyler's leaning on this one.
Yeah,
If I had to guess.
I think if I'm anywhere near competing, I'll take Cup in the 2024 first. Like if unless it's like a total rebuild, then I guess I'll go Etienne in the second. But you're still getting like the best player in this deal, and you're getting the first. So I kind of like that idea where even if Cup maybe fizzles out in 2 years, you're still getting a first round pick out of this deal. So I think I'd take the Cup in the 2024 first. And if you weren't competing, you could probably still flip Cup for something decent like another first and plus more. So I'd take Cup in the first.
Yeah, on the surface, it's tough to swallow, but I take Cup in the 2021st, I think, in either situation.
Gotcha. We have another question from Franz. Keep these questions pumping. These are awesome. 1 QB start 8. Holy cow. You want some studs in that league if it's only start 8. London is his wide receiver 5. He needs some RB help. He names some. I assume these running backs aren't on his team. Should he sell London plus for a hammer? Thanks, guys. What do you think about this?
Well, instead of buying a hammer, I would suggest going out and getting a running back. But if London is truly your wide receiver 5, then yeah, it's worth making a move there. But you got to really make sure you're evaluating that correctly. I, of course, am higher on London than most, but yeah, if London truly is your 5th best receiver and you're lacking in other positions, you got to start 8. So you got to make sure you're filling your starting lineup.
I want to see this guy's for the receivers.
That's me too.
I know. That's a good point.
Who's he got? Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, and Chris Olave.
Yeah, he's probably got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback too. So set. He's set
Maybe
for
he
life.
should sell London for another quarterback upgrade then if he's got Rodgers. Someone like Joe Flacco or something.
Yeah, or Mike White
Or Mike White, yeah.
or Zach Wilson. Yeah. So I man, yeah. If it's start 8, so the general rule of thumb, if it's the lower amount of starters that you have, the more you should go all in on studs. And so if you could package London, I don't know, with another one of your players. So he clarified this. I apologize, friends. I misunderstood. He says that's who he has at running back. So he's got, I assume that's Kenneth Walker, Rashad White, and Antonio Gibson, I think. So yeah, I would go all, I would try to package London and maybe another wide receiver potentially, or another position depending on what you have for a stud running back, like maybe a Saquon Barkley or somebody like that. If you're Breece Hall, yes, Breece Hall. Another running back that I'm not even going to say that because I couldn't even say it with a straight face. I was going to say another player I would take over Garrett Wilson, but I couldn't do that. All righty then. We have one more question for Tyler, don't we, Matt?
We do. So we're going to do a little this or that. So I'm going to give you 2 players. We're going to go around. And I'm just going to keep rattling them off. When they get back to me, I'll answer and I'll ask the next one. So we got 3 decisions here. We're in a dynasty startup. These players are going very close to each other. So PPR, Superflex, Jaylen Waddle, or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm going to take Jaylen Waddle, I think, just because I feel like the quarterback situation's a little better. I know the Goff could be there for a while. I think he's a sneaky candidate to kind of stick around in Detroit. But if Tua can just play like 5 more years, and if Tyreek Hill's really gone in 3 years, and you're gonna have Jaylen Waddle for his whole career, and he could be the wide receiver 1 at some point in that offense with Mike McDaniel, I think I'd take Jaylen Waddle, but it's close.
Seth?
I think, wow, I think just to push back on the quarterback, like Tua, it's such an interesting situation because he's one wrong hit away from, his career potentially being over. And then all of a sudden there's a lot of uncertainty in Miami. And obviously I don't want that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen. But man, when Tua was healthy, yes, I think he's better than Jared Goff, but Jared Goff's the more consistent player. I think Amon-Ra is the more consistent player. I think I like both of these players, and it's a tough decision. But if push comes to shove, I might be in the minority. I'll stay on brand tonight. I'll go Amon-Ra St. Brown just because I like the player. I like the offense that he's in. I think Jared Goff is an underrated fantasy football quarterback and an underrated quarterback in the NFL. And they, the Lions got a good deal in that trade, the Matt Stafford trade. Both teams benefited from that one. So I'm going to go Amon-Ra. Matt, what do you think? Break the tie for us.
I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. So
somebody's on my side.
I'm going to go with Amon-Ra because he's a bigger receiver. He plays in the slot. Yes, he's not as athletic and he's not quite as explosive, but he plays a position in the slot where he's going to be more prone to getting some softer coverages. He's going to be able to work zones a bit better. He has, the similar win rates, similar efficiency metrics, but he garners more red zone targets far more frequently. So he's a much bigger red zone threat. And that's a big reason why. So, and playing in the slot and being a red zone threat, we're lining up the fantasy relevant targets one after the other for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do not quote me as saying Jaylen Waddle is gimmicky. Do not quote me as saying that. I'm getting out in front of it. I'm not saying it. But 18 yards per reception last year, a lot of yak. He's in an offense that does have to deal with Tyreek Hill. How much longer is that going to be the case? I'm not saying Jaylen Waddle is gimmicky, but I think he got a lot of gimmicky production last year. And I think if we see a regression in efficiency for Jaylen Waddle, that is going to take a bigger toll to his production than if we were to see the same thing from Amon-Ra St. Brown, because I think the opportunity for him is just more reliable.
What do we think of this? Defenses don't fear Amon-Ra.
He got 11 receptions like a game. Like, I don't. What do you mean?
All right.
There was I
Anyway,
think he was also probably tied for
9.
he was tied for like the most tackled inside the 5 out of anybody in the league last year, I think too. There were I remember a couple times where he was just tackled like 5-yard line, and then Jamal Williams vultured a touchdown. So
yeah. I mean, Jaylen Waddle, I mean, they probably are more focused on Tyreek Hill. They don't, they're not too worried about Jaylen Waddle. I mean, that's probably an argument for Jaylen Waddle because he doesn't see the top corner probably. I mean, the coverage is rolled over to Tyreek Hill. So,
Right, but how
Anyway.
many number one corners travel into the slot every snap? Not many.
no, there's not too many good slot corners. I mean, that's kind of a matchup nightmare. I'm on Ross St. Brown for defenses. All right. What's the next one, Matt?
Rhamondre Stevenson or Tony Pollard?
I like Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Pollard, just because. Like, are we really confident Rhamondre's back in New England? Like, I don't know if it's like a certainty that he is after this season. Like, I don't know. We don't know where Tony Pollard's going to go, but I feel like Tony Pollard is a better player than Rhamondre Stevenson, just straight up. I think Rhamondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard was taking touches away from like, I would say more of a prime Zeke. Like, obviously not the one last season, but the one before is a little bit more of a competition. Like, he carved out a role for himself. Rhamondre Stevenson didn't get any touches until Damian Harris got hurt last season. So I think I like Tony Pollard more. He's in a better offense this year if we're just looking at their situations. He's in a better offense overall, but Rhamondre obviously will probably have maybe a bigger role. But I just the vibes are screaming Tony Pollard, and it's just I'm fading Rhamondre Stevenson a bit. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's not a bad pick, but I just like Tony Pollard more.
I'm right there in lockstep with you on Tony Pollard. Now, Dallas, I mean, I hope they still could do something crazy like sign Dalvin Cook. I mean, it is Jerry Jones, so we're hoping to avoid the Dalvin Cook landmine or something like that. I don't think it's going to happen, but Tony Pollard is getting drafted. Oh, I shouldn't bring up redraft. I was going to bring up redraft. That's my bad. I'm going to backtrack here. Okay. I'm that's my bad. So you look at what he did towards the end of the season, and I mean, there's multiple. I mean, in week 11, RB1 overall, week 13, RB2 overall in fantasy points per game. I mean, this is the kind of upside he has if he's going to get this kind of volume. And he was splitting time with Zeke. And if we look at the New England Patriots are kind of weird with their running back sometimes, and we forget that. There's some running backs, and you might laugh at me, but like Kevin Harris, I think Pierre Strong's still on the team. And didn't Ty Johnson get a bunch of catches last year too and targets? I mean, I could be wrong about that. I'm just going off the top of my Ty Montgomery. Thank you. I knew it was one of those players that was getting a lot of the targets. So if Stevenson's not getting the targets, oh man, I'm more skeptical about Stevenson than I am with Pollard. I think Pollard has legitimate RB1 upside, and so I'll take the upside every day.
Yeah, so to speak to what Seth just pointed out, Ty Montgomery, 34% snap share, did not finish the game in week 1 against Miami before he got hurt. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 1 touchdown. So he was involved right away. I'm not going to lie, I flipped. You both flipped me. I had Rhamondre Stevenson highlighted. I thought the disrespect had gone a little too far, maybe. Now I'm not so sure because I've heard a few points being made, and now it's starting to finally click. I don't think the Patriots wanted to give Rhamondre Stevenson 89 targets last year. He had a 15% target share, which really draws your eyes in, right? And it gets you excited because he is a talented pass catcher, but when you think about what happened week 1, and was that just a circumstance of injury and a bad offensive line and no receiver talent? Now we get, potentially Nuke Hopkins coming to New England, Rhamondre Stevenson, who, I'm not considering really the future for either of these two, just because I don't think it's that certain for either. I think Tony Pollard probably does get extended and stays in Dallas, but for right now, it's more of coach and organization speak to really say that one is more likely to get re-signed than the other. The argument for the the previous treatment of running backs in New England is certainly tempting, but I try not to buy into those situations as you can get tricked. I will state the argument that I had prepared for Stevenson to give a little bit of the other side. So he did have 70 receptions last year, so he can carry a receiving game and he can be that guy. He's not nearly as explosive as Pollard, but he's a similar rushing talent. They're both efficient as rushers. They're both big playmakers. Stevenson's just not quite as athletic, but he has a much more optimal BMI. 32 versus 28. Pollard's not necessarily small by any means, but we saw the apprehension to use him as a goal line back. We saw kind of what happened towards the end of the season. I don't think the load he started taking in terms of carries and receptions is what led to his injury. That was more of a freak, his ankle bent and, kind of snapped thing. But the fact of the matter is he's going to have to recover from that. And then if this backfield is what we think it is, he's also going to have a dominant share of the rushing and receiving game. So are we sure he's going to be able to keep that up or coming from a full ankle fracture, recovering? We saw it's two different positions, but Dak was very hesitant to run that first year after his ankle surgery. It wasn't quite right. So I just don't know if we're quite certain that Tony's ready for this in terms of his health. Granted, I love both of these running backs. So that's the argument for Stevenson. Yeah.
Harry Snowman brought it up in the chat too. So I think that's a fair point. My pushback.
Go ahead. Sorry.
My pushback would be, kind of comes with the territory of going for it, sure, like these guys could get injured. Rhamondre Stevenson could get injured. I know. I'm guessing that don't they have who's the running back they have? Ronald Jones there now? Is that right? Malik Davis? That's
Malik
okay.
Davis.
Yeah.
And Ronald Jones. They do.
They
do have Ronald Jones. Jack's tweet about him went hit numbers.
Okay. Maybe Ronald Jones. I don't know. Like Ronald Jones is basically free right now. Is there any value there? Do you think Ronald Jones takes those in between the 20s target? That could help Tony Pollard if he has a role in the offense, right? Keeping him healthy. I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
I think people are definitely acting like they're more certain about the situation in Dallas than they think they are. And that's what's kind of funny about it. It's because they're very similar situations right now, not considering health, but everyone's acting like they're so sure that Pollard's going to go back to this. And everyone's so sure that Bill Belichick wants to get Ty Montgomery involved and wants to get Pierre Strong involved. Rhamondre Stevenson showed he can do it over the course of a whole season. Who's to say that Bill isn't just going to ride him into the sunset?
Yeah, that's good. This is a good debate, man. I think where I can't talk about redraft, but in Dynasty, I give me Pollard, but Pollard's valued higher in that other format that I won't talk about. All right, real quick, rapid fire because we got to get off the air.
Yep. Because rapid fire. Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
Justin Herbert, not close.
Justin Herbert. Yep.
Howitzer Herbert, not close for me either.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, what do you have to plug these days, man? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm on Trade Gods tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Doing that show, that'll be fun. PPR Tyler on Twitter. If you want some good fantasy football meme videos every once in a while, I'm posting some town ball baseball content here in Minnesota. So if you want to hear about the Loretto Lark town ball team, go follow my Twitter. And then that's pretty much it. Maybe one day I'll get my own show and then I'll get to plug that. But for now, I'm just gonna get on as many shows as possible. Got the draft kit coming out. Did a couple of write-ups for that. Really excited about that. But yeah.
Nice. Well, if today's any indication, you're going to be having your own show at some point. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll start
Tyler football's taking over.
Yeah, Tyler football is taking over. It's only a matter of time. But
yeah.
Yep.
I was just saying when I get my own show, it's like right now I got this Jameis graphic tee on.
I love it.
So it looks like it's kind of cool.
I love that.
I love that. Where'd you get that?
Oh my god!
I saw it on an Instagram ad. They got me. Like when you see those
absolutely
Instagram ads,
that was a good purchase.
So I actually got 3 of them, and they were like I'll just say it was like $50 a shirt, but I couldn't pass it up. So I got a Jameis Winston one, I got a Reggie Bush USC one, and then I got a Gianni Manziel one. They all look the same like this.
Oh my god!
I like it. So
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
Yeah, I've always struggled to like, what am I gonna wear on these streams? Like, I usually just wear whatever, but I think I'm gonna just start wearing these graphic tees. Also, I don't know if you guys saw it over the weekend. This kind of made me mad. It's totally unrelated. I know we gotta get out of here, but I'm gonna say it real quick. The Kim Kardashian shirt of did you guys see that? Of her wearing
No.
you didn't see it with the one of her. She was wearing a shirt that of the Kendall Jenner starting five, where it was like it was all of Kendall Jenner's ex boyfriends. They're all NBA players. I bought that shirt, that same shirt, a year and a half ago, and then now it's all over Instagram and Twitter. And I'm like, I had that shirt for a year and a half, so that pissed me off. But that's neither here nor there. I'll leave it alone.
Oh man, let us know if you have the Kim Kardashian 5 shirt. If like maybe Tyler would buy it from you. I don't know. That's probably a pretty pricey shirt these days, then, right?
I think I bought it for like $20 off an Instagram ad. These Instagram ads they get me. Like if I see something I like, I have like 50 saved in my like Instagram, like in the bookmarks page, and I'm just like waiting to buy a couple, like a Deion Sanders one or something like that. So
the agent assigned to the audio recordings that your phone's capturing for Instagram is going, oh, we're cooking. We're
Yeah.
for real.
graphic tee.
Now, the new one recently has been the dugout mugs. Those ones are all over my timeline.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't even know what that is.
man,
but
we should
I'll have to look it
do
up.
some graphic tees for the Writers Roundtable. Get
We
some
should.
merch, like we could get like Aaron Rodgers on a shirt or something, and then you could have me like bowing before the Aaron Rodgers altar, like something sacrilegious.
The writers
like
Roundtable 7-on-7 team.
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Garrett
man.
Wilson, Amon St. Brown.
That's a shirt I'll wear.
Yeah, I'd wear that. And then it's just the three of us
Sitting in a
like,
round table?
corner. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Like Game of Thrones style.
We're coming up with that.
Dude.
Just turned into
I wish we had 30 minutes more. I feel bad for we got to get out of here. Matt Babich, what do you got to plug, man?
all right. The draft kit's coming soon. The player profiler world famous draft kit sponsored by FFPC this year. It's sponsored for a reason. There are 300 player entries. As you can see, Tyler Football is a part of it. Seth is a part of it. I'm a part of it. Roto Underworld's finest and analysts across the fantasy landscape. Some of your favorites are going to be appearing in this draft kit. Not only do we have player profiles, we have videos, we have team previews, we have signature trends, we have the best graphics in the business. And it may not be the cheapest draft kit, but it is the best out there. Like I said, you travel across the globe, you ask people about the world famous draft kit. They can't stop talking about it. I was at the Queen's funeral over in London when that was going on. And I heard the Royal Guards, they're not even supposed to speak or move. And they were talking about how excited they were for the world famous draft kit.
What?
So really exciting stuff out there. I know I didn't tell anybody, but I think I might get in trouble now. But so I will be a part of that. I've been helping out with that a lot. So shout out to Theo for the opportunity there. But so excited for that. And this podcast every single week. So you can keep looking out for me.
All right. Somebody said in the chat, I think it might have been Fantasy Plumber, that he's not on the Twitter machine. And if you're not on the Twitter machine, an alternative that I'm thinking of on the spot, so nothing can go wrong here, I'm sure. So here it is. He doesn't have the tweet machine. So Fantasy Plumber, if you'd like to be in the Dynasty League, you can do all that stuff that Matt said, aside from obviously following on Twitter. Like just subscribe to the YouTube. I don't know. Maybe subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I don't know. I'm trying to think of things on the air, but email me at Seth.Diewold of that screenshot if you want in the Dynasty League. If you don't want in, that's fine too. But I just wanted to be inclusive for the non-Twitter people. You can email me at Seth.Diewold@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can do. But it's going to be first come, first serve. I'm sure we're going to get just a bunch of people interested. And we only have like 5 or 6 spots or something like that. So anyway, follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD. Go read the talented work of our writers at playerprofiler.com in the news and article section. Go follow Tyler Football as he continues his tour of all of the shows on Player Profiler, and he's been a great addition here. And yeah, that's really it, guys. Have a good night. Be good. Take care of yourself. Go see if you can work out a deal to trade away Garrett Wilson on your dynasty team because he's overvalued. And as always, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see you next time. All right, bye everybody.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.